Welcome back, everybody. Tuesday morning edition of Hot Mic rolls on. Final half hour of the show. It's been a week since MSUM's performance and game in the Division II regional final down in Topeka, Kansas. The Dragons lost to Washburn. The D2 Elite Eight actually tips off later today in Evansville, Indiana. I'm just ripping the Band-Aid right off our next guest because I know he don't want to be talking to me from Moorhead. He wants to be in Evansville as Tim Bergstraser joins us, Dragon men's basketball head coach. Have you gone back and watched the game yet, or you can't do it?
I've watched bits and pieces of it. I haven't broke it down in the full length by any means, but it's I know it wasn't great, and I know we ran into a buzzsaw. Yeah, we ran into a very hot team, and them playing on their home court, I think definitely helped as well. And I mean, just top to bottom with the guys. I mean, they play like 8 guys, and
Man,
they all could fill it up and score, and we knew that going into the game. But it was yeah, it's fun college atmosphere, but they're a dang good basketball team, man. They ran through everybody in that region. So I mean, it definitely helped them on your home court.
when they have a shooting start like that, you've been around the game your whole life. Is that when you just kind of shrug your shoulders like the Michael Jordan, this is going to be their night?
Yeah, it's and on top of us not playing great defensively. I mean, I don't think we're poor, but yeah, that's just basketball sometimes. We've been on the right side of that sometimes.
Yep.
And you have to humbly admit, like, hey man, we're shooting the crap out of the ball. Like everybody's feeling it that night. And that's when sometimes you just gotta hope you can keep up. But especially as it got into like the second half, because I told our guys, weather the storm in that first half, we were kind of just hanging on, trying to stay there. And that second half, they somehow found a way to crank it up even more. And I kept looking back at our staff, and I just kept like shrugging my shoulders, like, "Hey, man, I mean, it's just their night." And I mean, anybody that touched the ball, it seemed like it was going to go in.
Yeah,
and that's basketball sometimes, and you don't want to be on that wrong side. But I'll tell you again, I'll say it again, we didn't play great defensively. And when you let teams get in a rhythm and let them feel comfortable, especially on their home court playing in a championship game, then things get tough to get them out of their rhythm. But yeah, again, they were a hot team, very, very hot team. And it's, unfortunately it happened to us on the wrong side.
When Carson got it to 4 though, you got to feel like, okay, we may have weathered this, that we can punch right back in the second half.
Yeah, I really felt like that. Even when they kept getting up like 10 or 12 on us, I mean, I thought they were still hitting some tough shots, and we were forcing them to be, basketball players. And we had our opportunities to, make a tough layup to try to get it within even maybe less than a possession. And it just those big misses, and that's the game sometimes. But those are so catastrophic sometimes, especially when you're trying to fight one on the road. But that's I give credit to our guys, man, because they handled it with a lot of poise. They had a lot of poise for the whole regional tournament, but especially like that first half, they handled it the way they did. They kept fighting. They didn't get rattled by any means, and that was probably one of the best college atmospheres I've coached in.
I was going to ask you that. To be there, we're watching the highlights again, so you don't have to watch the podcast. Let's go back again. But being in that, I mean, it's 4,000 people. It felt big time, was it?
Yeah, it was, and we've had that same atmosphere like at Mankato last year too in the regional tournament. You're playing in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people, but the thing at Washburn, it's very tight, it's closed in, and their fans are very passionate, very engaged, and they like to talk to you for the entire game. That's for dang sure. But it's you don't want to get caught up too much in the crowd, but it's when you're a younger basketball player growing up, and you're thinking about what you want to do in your future, that's the kind of stuff that you want to play in. You're playing for a regional championship in a high level, nasty, hectic atmosphere. It's like, why wouldn't you want to play in that kind of stuff?
I got to ask, you had the pleasure of coaching Jameer Price and Jacob Beninga for a long, long time. What was that locker room experience like after the game?
Yeah, it is like a somber moment. It's never what you want to deal with. You're never prepared on what you want to say in that moment. You have that short stint on what you have to say because they're kind of yanking you out because you have to go speak to the media, of course. So, I mean, you try to embrace that moment as much as possible, and nobody wants to hear it at the time, but it's like you got to appreciate what we did this year, and you honor those two just in a final way, within the locker room, and just like trying to acknowledge of what they've done for the program. And a guy like Beninga, he's been here for 6 years, and just the loyalty that he's had to this program, how much pride he has in this, and being a Dragon. And I mean, he just established on everything that we do. So, and then Jameer Price as well. I mean, I've known him since high school, recruited him since high school. So it's never easy. I mean, I usually break, of course, because I mean, I care about these guys more as just basketball players. They're incredible human beings on top of being really good basketball players. So it's always tough for me, but you really try to take a step back and appreciate, what they've just all done for the program and just changed or just helped us maintain what we've been doing. And it's not easy. So it's, yeah, you get a little emotional. That's just part of what we do, though.
The 1,000-pound elephant in the room, and we've talked about it all show, is portal is open and it's crazy season. So you have the kind of year you've had, and we've talked plenty about what Carson Johnson has done. He's not alone. Is this like the most terrifying time for you because you don't know what your roster may look like?
Yeah, it's a weird vibe, I guess I should say, because you're always going to be surprised, or not always, but you can't be surprised not being surprised. I'll say that, and it's very unpredictable, and it's an unethical time when it comes to the transfer portal. I think people do it the wrong way, personally, at the higher level, but in a way, you kind of have to do it. I understand that point, but it's yeah, you just gotta be ready for anything, and, we just gotta make sure that we'll have our player meetings nice and early because, we wanna know because we can't fall behind in the portal. Just yesterday alone, it was about 1,000 people just
Yeah.
entered the portal, and like I told you before, just us talking here for 15 minutes, I'm probably 100 kids behind that I gotta research on, and we'll see what happens. I don't think we're gonna need too many guys by any means. I'm very optimistic that a lot of our guys are gonna want to stay. I hope they do because I think we have a chance to do something special again. And I think it comes down to if someone's happy where they're at and they're winning and they like the people around them. A lot of I think it's a rare thing. Guys really appreciate that and value that.
Yeah.
So we guys like Carson, Logan Kinsey, Jennison, I mean Sean Wysocki being a really good true freshman. I mean Sam Hostrat, I mean they're all D1 type players and we all know that, but they're just they're very mature and understand like they value good people, winning, fighting for championships, making a run in the national tournament. Like that's important to them. And more so they love MSUM. They
Yeah.
love being in Moorhead. They love the atmosphere up here. They just love the people around them. It's important to them. So we're going to keep trying to value that as much as possible.
I'd be naive of me not to ask for your phone as well. You've won 75 games in 3 years, man. There's people going to be calling. How are you approaching this if there's a potential opening somewhere?
I mean, I understand there is a coaches portal at this point, and it's the players portal and the coaches portal. I mean, it's kind of fun just to spectate that more so, but by any means, my phone hasn't been buzzing to be open and honest. And um, if it does, I mean, obviously it's something you got to think about. But I'm so happy where I'm at MSUM, and the most important thing to me is my family and our current team, and focusing on what we have to do to prepare to be a good team next year. I mean, that's really all I'm worried about right now. And just if a phone call happens, it makes you think, but it's you got to really appreciate where you're at. I'm not focused on my next move by any means. I'm 150% just so fixated on what can we do to be a really good competitive basketball team again next year. So everybody says you need to have balance, but it's I know how I operate. That next day I already had my laptop open and I was looking through the portal and just breaking things down. What do we need to do next to get to that next step? And that's just how I'm wired, man. I mean, I'm obsessed with that dude, and I love MSU. They treated me right. Me and my family are extremely comfortable here, and I just think as a basketball program, we're in a good standing right now. So I just want to keep, maintaining what we have going on here because it's been fun and special.
Well, I guess on the flip side of that, Tim, you become a desired destination as well for guys to come play. That has to be appealing.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, and you'd be amazed because you could sell what we've done the last 3 years, the last decade of what we've done, and some of these kids really don't care about winning. You always ask them like,
That's
"Hey,
wild. Yeah.
what are you looking for in a program?" "Oh, I want winning and culture and family, good people around me." And then when you see them make their final decision, it's like, well, it doesn't make sense. And some people think it's all just peaches and cream here. We could get whoever we want. No, like the Dragons got to work to get some high level players here. And we're always going for those impact D1 type players and. We got to work, and that's just fine. I mean, we're all about that work and, doing a little more extra if we have to, but it's, you really got to sift through a lot of players, a lot of phone calls, a lot of connecting, trying to figure out who they are as a person, to really dwindle it down to just get that rare piece that fits what you do. it's a tedious
Yeah.
process. It's very long. It could get repetitive, but it's definitely worth it if you strike on that right young man.
Well, you've done that. I think I was watching the Minnesota State Championship game this weekend. You got one out of Albany in Sam Hondel. You can now talk about him.
Yeah.
Dynamite player. Albany won the state championship. You may have found another dude. Give us the lowdown on how you got this guy.
Yeah, well, I think connections obviously help. We have Tyson on our team who played with him and won a state title with him as well when Sam was a sophomore. Yeah, he's a Swiss Army knife, man. He could do a little bit of everything. He's 6'7", 6'8". He's only getting stronger and more athletic from what I've seen. He has great feel, court vision. He could score in all three levels. I mean, we're very high on what he's doing. And in the end, we like guys that appreciate and love to win. And obviously, he knows how to win. He
Yeah.
just won a state title in his whole career at Albany. They've won, and I know Schlegel, the head coach there as well. I mean, he was, if I'm not mistaken, a GA or just a second assistant when I was playing at St. Cloud State. So that connection helps as well. And we always try to get those guys within our radius
Right.
of MSUM, and then obviously if we have people connected to him. But yeah, we're very high on him. I think he's going to be a very, very talented player, especially when he touches down on campus. And he's still a very young man. He's still got to put on another 10, 15 pounds like any freshman. So I think we're eager to see what he could really do in a Dragon jersey.
Last thing before I let you go, when you offer a guy, is it like the radar goes up? Well, MSUM's interested. We better get in on that. Is that commonplace?
Yeah, I think some people do recruit like that. I'm a firm believer you really need to trust your eyes and not get caught up in, oh, you look on Twitter, this, team X offered this team. Now we should just offer them too without
Right.
even watching any film or seeing them. I don't think that's the way to do it by any means. And to be honest, how we like to do it now is with how just the social media landscape has been. Whenever we do offer a prospect, we tell them that we don't want them to post anything on Twitter. I'm not trying to hide anything by any means, but I just think if you're so worried about posting an offer on Twitter to get likes and more attention and like you're just not our kind of guy.
Mm.
So you could kind of tell if a kid really cares about that stuff or not. Because if you look at our program top to bottom, they don't get caught up in the wrong stuff. They're not worried about the social media, the PR buzz, and that's just it's not how we operate. So if a young man's not about that, then he ain't gonna fit at MSUM, and that's just fine with us. But we gotta just in the recruit process, you gotta be very open and blunt about that kind of stuff.
I know you got to get back to the phone. I just want to say a personal thank you for doing this for the last 3.5 months. It's been awesome. I know for a lot of the Dragon alums, they love seeing you on the show, and it was dynamite to watch your team this past year. I know the work isn't done, but I really appreciate you doing this each and every Tuesday for us.
Not a problem at all. I really appreciate it too. And you already know you got my number. Anytime you want to reconnect, you let me know. We'll make it happen.
Absolutely. Thanks, bud, and good
Thank
luck
you.
in the portal season, all right?
Appreciate you.
Tim Bergstraser joining us. MSUM men's basketball head coach joined us each and every Tuesday at 10:30 throughout the year. And the work actually really begins. He's not kidding. He's going right back into to see what happens because, I mean, Carson Johnson's season alone is going to get people's attention. Logan Kinsey is a junior. He could play at the next level. Just you look at the NSIC guys, and Jackson Money is a great example of that. If anybody in the area was naive of Northern Sun basketball, it was woken up what Jackson did at Northern State and then what he did this past year for the Bison. The amount of people that came up to me during the season say, how did this guy, why wasn't he recruited out of Cheyenne as D1? Some just aren't ready. I don't think Money was. And maybe it'll be another year for Carson Johnson or other these guys get going to the Division I level. But there's some dudes, definitely. I mean, the Barnstable kid's a great example. Starts at Wisconsin Whitewater, stars at St. Thomas, and now is going to go play likely in the Big Ten or the Big 12 next year. Wouldn't surprise me. We're overdue for our final break. We'll take it now. We come back. We'll get you set for a busy Tuesday and one programming announcement to tell you about as well. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps on this Tuesday morning after this.